All have to wear masks in public starting at midnight. And Governor Steve Sisolak has tapped Nevada OSHA to help enforce our state's mask mandate. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Trisha Keene.
And I'm Ty Quinones. Now, that is the same OSHA that 13 Investigates has been telling you about all week, an agency that some say simply cannot be trusted. And here's 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears on the troubled agency that has a huge responsibility now.
OSHA's role in protecting local workers is next level critical during the COVID-19 pandemic, but healthcare workers say the state agency has been failing them, forcing them to fend for themselves when the stakes are highest.
As the pandemic has increased, OSHA has kind of gone away.
Nicole Kester is a nurse at Mountain View Hospital. She and others with the nurses union turned to OSHA for help early in the pandemic when single-use personal protective equipment like masks were being reused due to short supply.
And when we reached out to OSHA, they weren't able to come and investigate because they couldn't get sick. So what has changed? What has made it okay that now they can come out and investigate things within the community where they couldn't before?
In announcing the mask mandate, Governor Sisolak said businesses that fail to meet the requirements of the directive will face violations from local licensing and regulatory authorities, as well as Nevada OSHA. A statement from the Nevada Department of Business and Industry, which oversees OSHA, says the new face covering directive will be enforced through the same process and mechanisms currently in place to address COVID-19 workplace complaints and referrals. Kester has little faith.
It's hard for me to believe that it's possible to enforce something on this magnitude when they can't even keep the people within the hospital safe.
And then there's the issue of staffing. There are 47 OSHA field investigators for the entire state. That includes 30 safety specialists, 14 health specialists, and 3 whistleblower investigators. Rick Lucas used to be one of them.
I have no faith that Nevada OSHA would investigate that whistleblower's complaint and come up with, a good investigation or a legitimate investigation.
Others we spoke to say using OSHA to enforce the mask rule effectively puts all the pressure on the most vulnerable people, the employees. They must file an OSHA complaint, putting their job at risk when unemployment is at its highest point in history. They must trust OSHA to protect them, despite the fact that former insiders have seen OSHA fail to protect whistleblowers and say that meaningful accountability for businesses is often missing.
The understanding was willful violations would not be written up.
We've also heard from a number of casino workers who filed recent complaints with OSHA. They echo the nurses' frustrations, saying their complaints about lack of social distancing and failure to follow Phase 2 requirements at the casino properties have fallen on deaf ears at OSHA, either not being investigated at all or not being followed up in a timely fashion. The governor's office did not also respond to our request for comment for this story. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.